like it's good, like just to not take it serious, to like kind of just treat it like it's like a game, and just to have that kind of knowing that it's going to happen. It's going to happen where the attention wanders, and but now it's like, you know, where the home is, that you actually are the home, right? Home is you, and that attention comes back. And in a way, it's almost like just seeing when the attention wanders, just that seeing that's wandered. It's like, oh, it's lost. As soon as you know that it's lost, it bang, it's back. That's the irony of it. It's like a whistle call. It just comes back, right? It's like a lost dog, and it's like you just blow the whistle and it comes back. So that's good. And you'll find that like actually at this stage, it's almost like you're being tested, because now a lot of this activity will come up where it's like a lot of like ingrained habitual like identification really is there. And you'll see it a lot mostly with your family. As a family man, like you'll see it with your wife and your children, that it just really has this ability to kind of lose yourself in that activity. But it's almost like it starts purifying, it starts testing you to say, you know, how much do you believe to be this separate entity? How much are you believing to be separate? Are you going back to this habit, or are you able to remain as yourself? And so in that way, it's always testing you. The mind is always kind of, it's like, remember me, and it just shows up, and it's like it continues to try and convince you and fool you like that. So it's not in a way, it's not like a walk in the park to kind of like, okay, it's like that's it, it's done. With this kind of approach, it's I start with the end to say, here's what you are, that piece that you experienced, well, that's actually what you are. And okay, so now it's about not about becoming that piece, it's about remaining as that piece. It's about staying as what you are. So the first kind of part is more of self-inquiry, where we're inquiring, who am I and what am I, is a better statement. But now it's about, okay, that's what I am, but now I need to stay as that, which is typically called abiding as self. So typically you could say there's like self-realization, but there's also like self-realization that's non-abiding. It's like a glimpse, which that's not abiding. That's like, you know, people always referring to this past experience that they had 5 years. They're like, yeah, when I just had that moment of clarity, that there's only one moment, and it's now. So if you're not experiencing the clarity now, then it's not abiding. It's not abiding, right? So it's never, because it's always present. You're never referring to like, oh, last Thursday when I had that big opening. Mm-hmm. It's like, no, it's right here. It's right now. So it's more of, it's not an experience, but it's experiencing itself, right? That's why like I use it as like a verb, because it's ever present. It's what you are. So it's about making that abiding, essentially. So that's the thing, is like, as the role of the guide is to basically lead you back home. Now it's about staying home, right? So it's like, I'll show you where home is, and then now it's about, well, I'll show you how to stay home, right? I'm going to show you what you are, and then I'm going to show you, well, now it's like you need to then establish yourself as what you are. So that's why I said, is this mind activity continues to test you, essentially. And you'll find that the more you're actually able to remain as you are, it starts deepening in the sense of what you experience, that you start experiencing love, you start experiencing happiness, you start experiencing peace, you start experiencing freedom. And then you start experiencing that as actually all of those like 4 things that I mentioned are not things. That's actually your true nature. And that is actually ever present. So then that actually becomes your way of living, for lack of better words. Like that just becomes your living experience, is that happiness is what you are. It's the reality, is the love is the reality, the peace is the reality, the freedom is the reality. and that's ever present. And though what you actually are, though, let's say that true nature, those four, what I'm kind of saying are four qualities, even though what you actually are is without qualities. But these words are just kind of pointing to that's what we say is like the experience of happiness is actually the experience of yourself. The experience of love is the experience of yourself. The experience of peace is the experience of yourself. The experience of freedom is the experience of yourself. And this is where like language kind of gets messy, because it always implies that there's somebody that's experiencing happiness. There's somebody that's experiencing. That's not it. That's not true, because there is no buddy. It's happiness that's experiencing happiness. It's love that's experiencing love. It's peace that's experiencing peace. It's freedom that's experiencing freedom. So they're not separate, because what you are is self-aware. It's aware of itself. It's actually always aware of itself. So the initial recognition is, okay, I'm aware. Okay, I'm aware of myself, but now abiding as yourself is in that last post that I made there a couple of days ago about the 3 steps. It's actually step 3 is awareness of awareness. Are you aware of yourself in the midst of activity? So that way you're not losing yourself in that activity, that you're constantly aware of yourself. And so driving the car, when peace is aware of peace, well, what's the experience of driving the car? It's peaceful, right? When you're around friends and happiness is aware of happiness, then the experience is happiness, right? It's all these things that are just basically what some refer to as bliss, which really like bliss is what I'm saying is like these 4 things: happiness, love, peace, and freedom, all wrapped up together. Like what you are is a complete package. So you're never just experiencing happiness without, like you always experience happiness with freedom. You can't experience happiness and feel like you're imprisoned. Right. And as long as you're in prison, you're not going to be at peace. Right. There can't be love unless there's, so all these things, they're complete. It's a complete package, because what you are is whole. So this kind of stage is, yes, the awareness is aware of now the activity, whereas before it was the awareness was identified with that activity. And you'll start seeing now this stage is kind of essentially, well, now you're catching when you're identified. It's like there's some old patterns that's when you feel like you get snagged. It's like, that you go back to identifying. So you just come back to the awareness. And then you'll start seeing that actually this, while step 2 is happening, step 3 is also happening here and there, that you're aware of being aware. And it will feel like perfect moments. It'll feel like you're just kind of, it'll feel like the deepest meditation, because that is the deepest meditation. Awareness of awareness is the highest meditation. But you'll experience that highest meditation cutting the grass, shoveling the snow, going to the work, driving the car, going to the grocery store. You'll start experiencing it here and there. And then awareness of awareness 24/7. That's like, what do people call it? They would be basically sahaja samadhi, which is the highest state of samadhi, which, that being said, is not a state, but it's the natural, see these words, the natural state, but it's not a state. It's it's just, it's this, it's the experience is, the activity is unfolding, the activity of experiencing is unfolding, but you are experiencing your true nature at all times. So the experience is actually permeated by your true nature, meaning the experience, whatever is happening, it literally is happiness, it is peace, it is love, it is freedom. So that's like the full way, the full journey. The full journey is essentially, it's okay. So we guide the one to realize the one, and now it's about remaining as that, establishing yourself as happiness, love, peace, and freedom. Because if it's not about that, what is it about? right? Like, because that's what everyone is seeking. That's why I said everyone is a seeker, because that's what everyone wants. You'd be lying if you didn't want happiness or love or peace or freedom, right? So that's typically, we just are looking for that in objects at the start, where that's where I showed you on Thursday isn't an object. That peace that did it come from an object? No. And when you were experiencing it, that's why I asked you, I said, well, is there you and this peace? You said, no, there's just peace. It must be that's what you are then. So what comes up now is who you think you are, these old patterns of who you think you are. And when you get, you could say, back into that belief of being that, believing yourself to be separate, then you won't experience that peace. So you use that as kind of like a guidance tool, like a compass or something. That really, it's very easy. You're the sign of progression, or the measure of progression on the spiritual journey, is actually always happiness and love and peace and freedom. That if you're not experiencing that at all times, then you're typically identified as something that you're not. You're back into some sort of belief of being separate, which we could say is slipping back into ignorance. Right? So that's why I said it's not enough to just realize that you are awareness. You have to really explore your true nature more and more. And that's why it continues to help by just continuing to experience yourself over and over and over, and explore to the point where it's not just happening on like a Thursday night or a Monday morning or whatever. It's just the way it is. That's what I said, is like what you are is meditation, and what your life becomes is meditation. There's no difference. So enough of me talking. Does